Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast number 1600, so 1600, pretty cool. The topic is training and the title is, does weight loss affect leverages for squat, bench, and deadlift? So this question came from our members board in the gym. We have a board where members can submit any questions they want, and I answer them on the podcast. Now, you can do that through email. You can do that on the podcast. If there's a place for comments, just write a question. Email's the best, if you don't mind. It's brutalirongym@gmail.com. But you can contact us on Instagram, YouTube, anywhere that I post something. I'll probably get an alert that you sent something, question-wise. But email is the best, so brutalirongym@gmail.com. Or if you're a member of our gym, you can write up on the whiteboard, and we'll answer it. So the question the person asked was, does weight loss truly affect bench leverages? So I figured we'd expand this, talk about more than just bench press. The answer is yes. If you change body size, and especially the size of your stomach, it will change how you feel in major strength lifts. So we're going to talk about squat, bench, and deadlift, but this would be true for strongmen who maybe do like overhead press. They do a lot of like yoke carry, farmer carry, things like that. The body weight, like your weight, will change how much you can lean into or lean away from like a weight and have it like influence that weight. Now, even if you're not involving like leaning, so I'm not talking about like dragging a sled or pushing something into something. We talk about static lifts where you're just standing stationary, squat, bench, deadlift. Yes, it does change. Now, for me, I started lifting when I was 16 years old. I started actually exercising when I was 15. But I started lifting with weights when I was 16 years old. I'm 39 now, which feels like forever. Feels so old. But 39. And so I've been lifting for 23 years. I started lifting at 165 pounds. I got into bodybuilding, gained a lot of size, and I actually have grown up to 295 pounds. So I was 130 pounds added, and I didn't have like a belly over my waistline. Never had, poochie belly. So it was all very, pretty damn clean weight gain, So you could see like the edges, like the outlines of my abs on the outside edge of my abs at 295. So pretty damn big. I have then, since then, I had dieted down at one point down to 207 pounds because I did this crazy 10th month challenge for myself. I just wanted to see if I could do certain things, and I played with different protein percentages and diets, trying to do cardio every day and doing some other odds and ends. But I dieted down to 207, and I'm now back up around 260. So I've always fluctuated up and down quite a bit. Since when I started at 16, I was 165. And I went through a phase where I only ate one meal a day, so kind of like anorexic type stuff. And at 18, I was still only 165. I then figured out, I thought nothing was working. Here, I just wasn't eating. And then I started gaining size. And at 19, 20, I finally crossed over 200 pounds. So I've been somewhere between 200 and 295, up and down, everywhere in there. For the last, say, 19 years. Now, a lot of it was, I'd gain 50 pounds, take 30 of it back off, and held a good bit of muscle. I'd gain, X amount of weight, then take some of it back off, held a good bit of muscle. That's how I walked my way back, all the way up to 295, and could actually see the edges of my abs. So I have lifted at every weight. So I've lifted, 1 rep maxes, whatever my abilities were at the time, as light as 165 pounds at 6 foot tall. And I've lifted 1 rep maxes at 295 pounds at 6 foot tall. So I've lifted at every weight. Now, my strongest weight, when you're talking about kind of overall total poundage, has been when I was lifting around somewhere between 240 to 260. For me, that was my strongest. That's in that range is when I hit a 600-pound squat and sleeves, 430 bench, and a 700-pound deadlift. And I was very happy with all that because that's after some injuries and stuff. I've broken my collarbone 3 times. I have metal plates in my shoulder and did some other injuries to my shoulders younger playing football. So to bench 430, I'm actually really really happy with that. So I remember after my last surgery I had to relearn how to bench press the bar. Due to the surgery, the front of my shoulder is actually numb. I can't feel the front of my shoulder. So when I first got back to lifting, if I closed my eyes and tried to bench press the barbell, it was very crooked. So my right arm wouldn't extend because I couldn't feel like the right type of contraction in my right shoulder. So I had to relearn how to bench press. So very happy with all those numbers. I'd like to get that like 430 up to like 450. And then the 600 maybe to 1,000, 700 to 1,000. I'd love to be stronger, but decent numbers. So what I have noticed personally, and with training, so I've trained over 3,000 people of all sizes. I've helped people get elite totals, international elite totals, top 50 totals in powerlifting. I've helped competitive strongmen. So I've helped a lot of people, and I personally have the experience that changing your body weight, especially when it impacts the size of your belly, your stomach, it does impact how you feel in the main lifts. Now, does it mean you're going to be weaker when you're lighter? No, I've actually been my strongest kind of in the middle of my weight ranges. And I have a ton of athletes who are strong as hell after we've cleaned up their diet and got them leaner. So we might have lost, they came to me, we started working on nutrition, we started working on training, they might have dropped 20, 25 pounds, and they're way stronger than they were 20 pounds heavier, way stronger. So the best weight isn't your heaviest. So just like if you look at World's Strongest Men, Brian Shaw weighs 420 pounds, or Thor weighed 400 pounds, or like there's all of them. All of them pretty much weigh over 400 pounds, but most of them weigh well over 320. But a lot of people like Ray, oh my gosh, I just blanked on his name. Oh man, that's gonna bug me. Super strong squatter, Ray Williams. There you go. That's what it was. He's over 400 pounds. You look at like Blaine Sumner. He's a geared lifter and he's way over 400 pounds. You look at these people weighing that much, like the strongmen. They're also 6'8", so you got to take that into consideration. They move absolute poundage. They are not the strongest pound for pound. Like I have a lifter who competes at 148 who has damn near a 10-time body weight total. You don't see a 400-pound lifter putting up a 4,000-pound total. So whether you want absolute strength or whether you want pound for pound strength, that does change whether you give a crap about your body weight and how it would influence things. But let's get to that at the end. So first thing in squats, one of the things you'll feel is stability at parallel. This is not always true, but what you might notice, and for most people this is to some degree true, so it's worth saying, is that when you are parallel, whatever your squat, like bar placement, high bar or low bar, whatever your stance, whether you wear Olympic shoes or flat shoes, whether you stand wide, narrow, whatever, when you're at parallel, it's likely that your lower stomach touches your quadriceps, your thighs. And to some degree, there is a sense of confidence, a sense of stability when the lower belly presses into the thighs at the bottom of the squat. Now, when you lose 20, 30 pounds and your belly shrinks, but you maintain the same width of your feet for squatting, you'll notice that feeling, that sensation of security isn't there. You might choose to actually bring your feet in a little bit to give you more of that stability at parallel. And then also, people with really big bellies tend to have to squat really wide, even if they're not skeletal frame-wise, anatomically built for wide stance squats. So they might struggle with squats their whole life because their belly's in the way of them having a better stance that anatomically fits their bones. So if they lost their belly, all of a sudden, boom, their strength shoots up. So that is something that is very impactful in squats. The size of your stomach, the way it touches or doesn't touch your thighs, can absolutely change the stance width, whether optimal or not optimal, and whether you feel safe or not safe, kind of like confident in that parallel position. Also, typically when people lose weight, they indirectly improve mobility. Even if they don't mean to, it typically helps improve mobility. So they might have better and healthier shoulders. So all of a sudden they can get into a better scapular retraction and like a nice stable upper back position for the bar. And then all of a sudden, from the hip to their bar, like their spine is more of a neutral position. It's locked down muscular-wise, and they feel way stronger. So even just mobility improvement in the upper body can improve squats, let alone typically when people lose weight, they improve indirectly mobility, and that can help improve their hips, which helps them hit parallel better without less of like a rounding of the lower back because their adductors aren't so tight. So there is an impact of weight, and especially belly size, when it comes to squat. Now, bench press, hell freaking yes. Changing your body weight, changing your body thickness and size does impact like strength leverages, the way in which you would feel in your bench press. Again, it doesn't mean you're going to be weak. It just means it would change the way it feels. So you might have to change some of your technique. You know, when I was fluctuating with my weight, I absolutely changed my technique in all like 3 lifts, squat, bench, deadlift, based on what I weighed. You know, when I was 220, 225, 230, I squatted, benched, and deadlifted differently than I do now at 260. You're just thicker. You're thicker in your chest, thicker in your lats. You know, your upper arms, like my upper arms are 19 and a half. I'd love to give them 20 inches, but they're 19 and a half inches. So when you bench press, like your upper arms have a pressure connection. They're touching your lats to some degree. And that gives you stability, just like your belly touching your thighs gives you stability in squat. So having less thickness, even just overall thickness, it can impact stability and bracing that you feel in the bench press. The weight can actually push you around more. So say you were at 280 and you dieted down and now you're 220 or 240. It will feel like your top end weights are kind of pushing you around. You'll feel a little less stability. So you need to learn to actually use more leg stability than you've ever used before. And that can feel weird or kind of new, or you don't even know that you need to do it, so you're not doing it yet. But it does have an impact. Also, the thicker someone is, especially if they have shorter upper arm bones, that can change kind of the way in which the bench feels. Typically, if people have shorter upper arm bones, this is all like extremely different depending on the person. But we'll leave the arm bones out of it. So let's just go with the general premise of where the bar touches. If you touch higher on your sternum, thickness of your body doesn't matter quite as much. But if you do lose body fat, you're going to lose some fat off your back. And there's differences male or female, but actually there's a lot of females who store body fat in their back, and there's some males that don't. But if your back is less thick, it'll feel like the depth in which you have to lower down to touch your chest with the bar will feel deeper. And then especially if your belly goes down or your chest size goes down, then that's again going to increase the feel of the range of motion of the bench press. And that can have a significant impact on confidence at the bottom, and it can have an impact on strength as well. Then if we look at deadlift, hell yes. Big belly is a pain in the ass to deadlift. That's why a lot of people, when they're really big belly powerlifters or big belly strongmen, their squats are significantly better than their deadlifts. I mean, I'm talking 200, 300 pounds. Huge difference. And it's because in the squat, their belly presses into their thighs. They feel very stable. But in the deadlift, their big damn belly is out in front of them, so it's pulling their center of gravity forward. They're more on their toes. And typically, if somebody has a big belly, they're going to have a distended stomach. They're going to have forward tilted hips, so anteriorly tilted hips. That's going to decrease the ability for their glutes to engage in the lockout. So a big belly, they might have to, in their starting position, take a stance wider than what's anatomically best for their skeletal frame. So all of a sudden they don't best activate and engage their quadriceps. They over rely on their adductors. They don't get their glutes really well involved. So their starting position is awful. So they try to drive it off the floor and then it just dies at their knees. You can also have the same problem, but on the other side is not the lockout, is they can get it off the ground, but since they're forward in their toes, since their hips are anteriorly rotated, they're not going to be able to get the lockout really well. So you'll see them really struggle with the lockout. That's Ray Williams, that's that Blaine Sumner. Like big belly powerlifters, big belly strongmen, they tend to have much better squats than deadlifts because the body type is better for squatting, but it's horrible for deadlifting. So you might then ask, well, where should I be? What body weight is best for me? Do I need to be lean to be strong, or do I need to be fat to be strong? So what in the world? What do I need? It depends. There are great powerlifters who are shredded. There are great powerlifters who are would be clinically obese. Just kind of depends on what you want. What do you want from your lifting? What do you want from your strength lifts? If you want to feel strong and then still just kind of eat whatever you want, then it's okay to be fat. You can still be strong. You just got to learn how to live with your leverages and figure it all out. But if you want to be strong and competitive, and you have the ability to be very muscularly massive, you can build some big, thick arms, build 20-inch arms, then you're probably going to be okay to have some body fat on you. If you're 20 to 30% body fat, but you're pretty damn thick, really big muscles, you're probably fine. You don't need to necessarily be leaner. You're just genetically a thick person. So good for you, But if you want to be strong and competitive, but you don't have a thick body frame, anytime you try to gain weight, you typically just gain body fat. You don't really see a lot of muscle mass increase. Well, then you're probably best to be lean. Again, if you want to be competitive. And then especially if you have other performance aspects like CrossFit, where you want to be super strong, but you also have to do every crazy ass weird movement under the sun, then you have to be really lean. You want to have every pound of your body be useful in some way. If anything on your body can contract, that's what you want. So you want to be super lean. So really, what weight is best for you? It depends on what you want. If you want to be strong and eat fun foods and not worry too much about dieting, then go ahead and let your body weight be up, body fat percentage be up, and just work with your leverages you got. Do what you can. If you want to be super competitive, if you have the ability to be super massive, you can get big, thick legs, big, thick arms, then having some body fat, 20, 30% body fat is okay. But if you can't get that big, thick musculature, then the leaner you are, the better. So a lot of the powerlifters I work with that have elite totals, overwhelmingly, the majority of them are super lean, very lean. Okay? Cool. So that's a good answer. Now, if you want to know more about nutrition, so if you do want to change your body fat percentage, we have podcast 1232. You can find that on our website, and you can learn about that. It's basically me telling you how to set up your own nutrition program. So step by step, how you can set up your own nutrition program. Pretty damn good service there. We also have on our website, www.bruleironGym.com, we have a link called Free Nutrition Education. If you go to that link, that page, the first thing on that page says create your own nutrition program, and it has a document that'll take you step by step through that podcast 1232. So it has a link to that podcast, but it also takes you step by step and has a summary to it. So you can check that out on our website as well. And then we do have our services that help. So we have one-on-one coaching where I do everything personalized for you, both training and nutrition. We also have one-on-one nutrition only. So if you like your training program and you just want help in nutrition, I can do that. And then we also have our live monthly programming service, which is a really fun service where I write brand new programs every 4 weeks. You would get one of the program categories, but you still get one-on-one education, one-on-one Q&A, anything you ever want one-on-one with that service, but it's only $50 a month. So really cool. The program options are power building, which is, powerlifting and strongman and stuff like that, where you want to get stronger. And if you eat a certain way, you can definitely get bigger. If you don't want to eat for growth, you just train and control your nutrition and you get super strong. Then we have female shape development program, a pure bodybuilding program, functional athleticism program, and then a functional longevity program. So you can pick any of those programs. You get brand new programs every 4 weeks. Every exercise has a video tutorial. You can ask any question you want at any time, and I will one-on-one answer it. So you get a one-on-one coach for a Q&A while getting a program that is really good. And what makes it live is you get the best of my knowledge every single month. The programs are written every single month, brand new. So it's not something I wrote 2 years ago that I'm selling to everybody now. It's literally what I write every single month, the best of what I know how to do. Cool. So check out all those services if you're interested in them. So thank you to the member who asked this question. I hope that this helps. If you have any follow-up questions, just let me know. If you have any questions at all, feedback, suggestions, really anything, just let me know. My email, brutalirongym@gmail.com. If you like our podcast, please share it. The more people we share it with, the more people can help. When you share it, let people know that we answer questions for free. So anything they want to know can be answered for free through this podcast. And thank you to those who donate to support the podcast. We can actually afford to do this. So it's every single day, and I spend an hour on it every day, and it's completely for free. So if you do want to donate to support the podcast for the hosting costs and all the other craziness that comes with it, you can do that on our website. Even just $5 a month, it does add up and it does help. So I truly, truly appreciate everyone who does that. It makes a big impact. Thank you very much. And then if you like the information we share in our podcast, you can always find more from us on our social media channels. I post on Instagram every day and YouTube a lot. So find us and follow us under the name Brutal Iron Gym. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.